Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so very much for coming into our weekly mastermind. I really, really appreciate you all taking time out of your busy weeks. And, for us, we really kind of enjoy getting started on the week. I find it's a great way to kind of get the week like launched, get our heads right in the right place. This week, we are blessed to have Dana Sparks with us. And so she's going to be teaching for us. And I can't tell you how excited I am. So, Dana, thank you so very much for being here today. And I'm going to shush and let you take own it.
Well, thank you so much. And I am glad everybody is here on this toasty February morning. At least I'm assuming you're toasty inside. My presentation today is just short and well, short and sweet to me might not be short and sweet to others if those of you who have interacted with me know, but just some I wanted to talk a little bit about some key tips for agent to agent communication for smooth transactions. And just to introduce myself, because I'm not familiar with everybody that's on here, my name is Dana Sparks. I am the broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta, and I'm also the director of the Real Estate Academy of America. So I teach a lot of CE classes. I see a lot of contracts. I don't see every contract. We have a separate compliance broker, but I see the contracts that have issues. One or two a year, right? But more often than not, I get a lot of phone calls from agents regarding communication issues. And as a broker, I myself, as all the brokers and all of you on here, you get emails from your agents asking for help, asking for advice, asking for direction. Call me. Okay, tell me how to reach out to you. So there's just a lot of communication issues that I believe if you put your mind to it or bring your attention to some tips and tricks and some things to just think about a little differently, um I believe that it could enhance your transactions, yourself in general, but especially your interactions with other agents, with clients too. But today's focus is really just on agent to agent communication. So I do have a brief PowerPoint to share. So I don't know if I can share that, Alan,
You
or
should be
if
able to.
okay.
You're a host. So
Host. Hostess with the mostest. There we go. All right, now let me pull up the PowerPoint.
I'm looking at a Zoom.
All right.
There we are.
All
Say
right,
what?
let me get say what
Say
from
what?
those of you that are
What you talking about?
my age exactly. Say what? Hot tips for agent to agent communication for transactions in real estate. And again, this is just well, I'll just dive in. I don't know if you guys remember Gary Larson, who had the comics all the time, but this is one of my favorites. What we say to dogs. Okay, Ginger, I've had it. You stay out of that garbage. Understand, Ginger? Stay out of that garbage or else. What they hear. Blah, 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 blah. Ginger. Blah, 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 blah. Ginger. Blah, 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 blah. And not that other agents are dogs. They could be. I love my dog to death, but uh just this is pretty representative of a lot of communication in real estate. And your communication skills create your first impression with others. And you've heard the saying, you only get one chance to make a first impression. Now, as an agent in a real estate transaction, you continue to make an impression upon specifically your co op agent when you're in a transaction. And again, the title of my talk is agent to agent communication, but this has to do with everything: your communication with the closing attorney, the lender, the appraiser, the inspector, your broker, everybody involved. And how others perceive you greatly influences your business in a positive or a negative way. Today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about communication in general and in real estate. The most effective communication, I didn't mean to do that. The absolute most effective communication is in person. Why? I'll show you that in a minute. The next is via video, where you can see the person, you can see their facial expressions, you can see their head nods, their eye rolls, their shrugs, their, looking away, looking down. Okay, I'm supposed to be paying attention, but you see them looking down, texting on their phone. They're not paying a little bit of attention to you whatsoever. BombBomb, FaceTime. There's all types of Facebook Messenger. There's all types of video communication nowadays. I have YouTube, Facebook video reels, and TikTok, but that's really for presenting yourself to the public. But I did leave that part in this slide for one reason. Everything you do online stays there. And everything you do online may impact your business. When you are doing when you're in a transaction with another agent, don't think they don't look you up on social media. Don't think they don't look you up and see how you communicate, what you're interested in, your clients as well. But your co-op agents do too. So these are things I'm not saying to not be you. I'm just saying that everything you do has an impact on your business. The next most effective, and when I mean effective, I just mean actually making sure or doing the best that you can to ensure that your message you are trying to convey is actually received by the person you're speaking with in the same manner, context, and meaning, that they get it as much as what you're trying to say. That's what I mean by hierarchy of effective communication. Next would be on the phone. Why? Well, you can hear the words and you can hear the intonation. You can hear if I'm whispering. You can hear if I'm being really stern, really short, sweet, stern, sing song, la la la. You get a lot of information in addition to the words, from the tonality, sound volume, things like that. Next is written: email, text, and letter. And that is probably the majority of the communication that agents take with other agents. And that is the least effective. Y'all, text, I've got several slides on texting. One of my pet peeves is negotiating via text or communicating something meaningful via text. Is there a place and a time for text? Yes. Is there a time when you have to text? Yes. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks how to make that a stronger form of communication. But there's too many abbreviations. There's too much opportunity to misinterpret what's being texted. And emojis, do not use emojis when texting in a professional manner. They can be misinterpreted. I'll just give you a brief example while I'm here. We had an agent, male agent, interacting with a female client. They'd been out in person, seen several houses, finally wrote several offers, missed out, finally wrote an offer. They had a great relationship, extremely professional, on board, everything. They finally wrote an offer. and it was a competitive situation. Lo and behold, it got accepted. Our agent knew that this buyer was going to be so excited. He texted her, "Congratulations, we got it." Put a little winky emoji. Next thing I know, I got a call from the female buyer. She didn't want to have anything to do with him. She wanted to get rid of our brokerage, and I ended up getting her with another agent, a female agent. And I asked, what happened? And I asked him what happened. She in turn, he sent the winky emoji, like, "Woohoo! Yay, we got it!" Just as a form of excitement. She took it as sexual harassment. She was uncomfortable from that point forward. Totally killed the deal for him. It didn't kill the deal. I saved it with getting her another agent. But what, especially these emojis, you do not know. Just don't, if you're gonna text, don't use emojis. If you are going to use emojis, be extremely careful, because what you mean by that isn't what it's heard.
It is
Email,
not an
you can.
eggplant emoji.
Right. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but there was a few years ago, a friend of mine actually uh, said the prayer. I've always taken them as prayer hands emoji. He took them as high five. Woohoo, high five. That's a completely different meaning within the context. So you have to be careful. Email can be much more thorough. A letter, a handwritten letter, does show that you took time to kind of sit down, write out your thoughts and feelings. But why is this the most effective hierarchy? Because the breakdown of communication, 7% of the true meaning of communication comes from the words. 38% is vocal, volume, pitch, rhythm, tonality, and 55% is nonverbal. Facial expressions, gestures, posture, eye movement, shrugs, paying attention, not paying attention. That is why in person communication is so key. But even in written communication, there is vast room for misinterpretation. For example, those words right there, "I've got something for you." Now, that could be let's say you're a buyer's agent and there's a listing agent and you wrote an offer and you're waiting, waiting, waiting. The listing agent could text back, "I've got something for you," which could be, "I've got something for you. I've got a binding contract. Woohoo." Or it could be, the buyer's agent could be a little rough, like, "You need to take this. Are you even presenting it to your seller, blah, blah, blah." And the listing agent could be like, "Got something for you." That's a completely different meaning. Like, "I am going to turn you into Greg. I'm not going to present your whatever, but I've got something for you" is different than "I've got something for you." The same words. If you put those words in writing or especially in a text, the meaning could be misconstrued. Same thing. "What's wrong with you?" Could be concern. "What's wrong with you? Are you okay? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong with you?" Or, "What is wrong with you? Like you are loco crazy." Is that what you're wearing? Is that what you're wearing? Like, that's a bit inappropriate for the occasion. Or, "Is that what you're wearing? Oh, I love it. It's gorgeous." What took you so long? What took you so long? What have you been doing? Dilly-dallying about what took you so long? Are you professional or not? Or, what took you so long? Is everything okay? Uh, those are just some examples for misinterpretation and communication when you're speaking with someone where your language is not their first language. Again, vast room for uh, misinterpretation. just some general tips for professional communication, all forms of communication, person to person, vocal, written. Make it easy for others to contact you. Again, I give this example all the time. We at Maximum One, we have a support email that goes to all of the brokers from all of the franchises and over 35 associate brokers. And you get this frantic, urgent email. I've got a situation. Our due diligence is up in 5 minutes. I'm being a little facetious, but call me. And they put their name. How can I call you if you don't include your phone number? Make it easy for others to contact you. Include your full name, especially when you're interacting with other agents. Include your title. Are you the broker? Are you a real estate professional? Are you an assistant to the agent on the contract? Are you a virtual assistant? Are you an admin assistant? Put who you are with respect to what it is you're trying to communicate. Include your email and your phone number. Now, I have website or social media links. That's up to you. Tagline, logo, branding. Again, that's up to you. But if you're really proud of your branding and your logo, that, if that could be something that you would always use in all of your communication. Now, I do have a couple of caveats for you. Some of y'all have extremely fancy email signatures with a photo and all of your contact and hyperlinks to connect and so forth and so on. However that is created, if you've created that through Canva or any type of picture, or there's all sorts of software programs out there that will do that for you. When you include that on your email signature, you need to consider using that for all that that hyperlink type software little mini package as your signature. Why? Well, for some emails, it's just going to come across as a dotted line, a dotted box, and it's just going to say photo, and nobody's going to see what it is anyway. Some it might not come across at all, and somebody's email client might think it's spam, and your email won't ever get across. Others, it's going to come across as an attachment, and I don't open unsolicited attachments. There's so many viruses going around. So I just caution you, for all your fancy email logos, or I know you're trying to be informational rather than just a hyperlink, when it comes across as, like I said, a picture with all that in there, just be cautious when you do and don't use that. I have another thing. I don't actually have it on this slide, but when you are sending an email to a co-op agent and you don't hear back from them, pick up the phone and call them and ask if they got your email. For one of these reasons, or if you included too many attachments or the attachments were too large, they may not have received the email. That would be a good use of texting, just to follow up to see if they got something. In general, be professional, respectful, ethical, and courteous and polite. Use their name. Even in the Gary Larson video, when it said the dog hears blah, 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 Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger, our own name is the one word we hear more than any other word. When you are Neil and Amy Matheson just had a brand new grandbaby this weekend. Well, actually, a couple days ago. Congratulations. Guess what that baby starts hearing now, other than, oh my gosh, you're so gorgeous and you look just like grandma. But guess what that grandbaby hears? That grandbaby starts hearing, infants start hearing their name right from the beginning. They and puppies, not Neil, Amy, I'm not equating your grandbaby with a puppy. But when you get a new puppy, you start calling puppies by their name. So use someone's name. It does a couple of things. It makes them, it just, it brings their attention back to the conversation if you see them floating off, and it connects you with them. Y'all need to make a concerted effort to remember people's names in real estate. Don't assume you know what they mean. Ask. A lot of agents, especially if you're a newer agent or if you're in a situation where it's a higher price range than you've ever dealt with, you don't want to look stupid. Nobody wants to look stupid, but you need to make sure that you understand what it is they're saying. And a lot of times, a co-op agent will say something to you or use lingo or reference a form, like the just went out of my head. Uh, let's just in commercial real estate, there's a thing you have to sign. Anyway, let's just say a mandatory clause. I assume as a broker, everybody knows what an amendatory clause is, but you might not. So don't worry about looking stupid. You do not look stupid. Every real estate agent was new at some point. Every real estate agent deals with a situation they've never dealt with before. So if somebody uses a term that you're not familiar with, just say, help me understand that a little better. Or, so what I hear you saying is, and get them to clarify. Make sure you understand. You guys are dealing with a lot of money for the public clients you serve. Make sure it is you are helping them out. Limit your physical touching and terms of endearment. A lot of us that were born and raised in the South, we think nothing about calling somebody baby, hun. Hey, babe, let's go look at this. Hey, thank you, darling, so much. Hey, hun, let's. Oh, hun, I found this great property, hun. You're gonna love it. And touching, we pat, we rub. Not on the head, but on, we rub people's backs. We pat all the time. We come up in a monster hug when we first meet somebody. That could be misperceived as inappropriate. Don't just say, hey, I'm a hugger. Well, I don't care if you're a hugger. I'm not. And if you come hug me because that's how you are, we're done. Don't pat others because, again, in the South, we just mean it as loving, endearing, caring. Others can perceive it as very patronizing and condescending. They're there, dear, dear. They're there, child. So be extremely cautious of your terms of endearment and physical touching. Along those same lines, communicate evenly when interacting with couples. And this is for clients, but it's also with your co-op agents, with your lenders, with assistants, with closing attorneys. When you are interacting with couples or females and males, you need to keep the level of communication the same. When it is in person, give as much eye contact to one party as the other party. As much, you don't want to favor one of the parties over the other party. It could be completely misconstrued as inappropriate. Y'all, don't use lingo or abbreviations. I even have agents telling me, I sent the ABAD. What is the ABAD? Somebody says, I sent do I need to have the CAD signed? What is a CAD? Oh, Community Association Disclosure Exhibit. Well, if I'm not thinking in that context, I don't know what CAD means. I'm a broker, y'all. ABAD, if I'm not thinking within that realm of what they're talking about, don't make it hard on me to help you. Don't make it hard on the other agent to get a deal done with you, to work together towards a closing. A CMA. What's a CMA? The Country Music Awards? I don't know what a CMA is. You use what it is, a market. This is what I've looked at the market, and through the don't even say MLS. People don't know what MLS is. Through the listing service, which is where other agents put all their listings. It's a database of houses that are for sale, sold, under contract, with all the data. Through sorting through and researching through all that data, what the market is saying, what the buyers in the market are saying for this type of house is the price should be blah, blah, blah. How long it should take to sell. Don't use days on market. What does that mean? How long it should take it to sell. Explain what it is. Don't try to impress with the lingo, with your qualifications, with all your education. Just communicate, just talk. Avoid politics and any contentious topics. I had in this sentence, avoid talking about the news, but there are times when issues in the news are going to come up. Just remember that, especially with clients, not every client thinks the way you think, has the same political persuasion or opinions as you do. Same thing with your co-op agents. Don't mess up a deal for your buyer or seller because you and the other agent don't necessarily agree on something that has nothing to do with the transaction. When leaving a phone number in a voicemail, speak slowly and repeat the number. Y'all know your own phone number by heart. 770-919-8825. When somebody is on a voicemail and they're trying to write it down, you say it so fast because you know it. They don't know it. Say it extremely slowly. And one tip for you as the agent, when you're leaving your phone number on someone else's voicemail, pretend like you're writing it down yourself. When 770-919-8825, that's not even enough time to write the number myself. So a tip for you to leave a number is pretend like you have a pen. 770-919-8825. If you pretend you're writing it down, that should be the cadence that you should leave it in someone else's voicemail. And repeat the number. Another thing you can do, people hear music. So you can do it in a little sing song. 770-919-8825. I do that all the time. It's just automatic now. But even my husband now hears, he says it in the same little sing song way I do. 770-919-8825. So those are just a couple tips, but don't say it so quickly. You want them to call you back. Give them the information they need to call you back. Never say anything about anyone or that you would not say to anyone. If you are going to say something behind their back, that better not be anything that you would not say to them face to face. Remember, you could be being recorded at any time, number one. Number two, you've heard the term keyboard warriors. That means someone that's big and tough and will write or email something that is so vicious or mean. So don't ever write anything that you would not say to them face to face. If you disagree with another agent, in your mind, you could be thinking something negative, but never say that to them. You always want to, if you say something negative to somebody, what's the first thing they do? They get defensive and they will defend their position to the nth degree, even if they don't necessarily believe it anymore. So you always want to honor their perspective. Instead of it being adversarial, you want to get on the same side. After all, y'all, you're in real estate. You're working with a buyer, they're working with a seller. You have the same goal. The goal is to sell the house. You have the same goal. You don't have different outcomes. You don't win by having a different outcome. You both win by achieving the same goal. So if you come up with a disagreement or a hurdle to work through, keep this phrase in mind. I can appreciate that you think that. Honor that they think that. Whether you agree, that's not saying you agree with it. That's just saying you can appreciate that that's how they think right now. And then you switch it. So I can appreciate you think that. And I ask you to consider, I can appreciate you think you've got a great price, but I ask you to consider that there's a lot of competition now from when you first put the home on the market or something like that. Here are some other examples. You would want to turn your statement into a question instead of saying, no, you're wrong, and here, blah, 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 blah. You can still get your point across, but you turn it into a question. Here's how you do that. I can appreciate you think that. But could it be that the market's a little different now than when you first put the home on the market 3 months ago, and maybe the prices have changed a little bit? Do you realize that, interest rates have da 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 da? Have you ever thought about you don't have any offers after being on the market for 6 months? So have you ever thought about that? I don't know, maybe a different price could help. What would happen if would it be okay if, and then whatever it is you wanted to say to begin with? Are you committed to that? Uh, are you committed to that uh, amount in closing costs? Would you be open to contributing more to the buyer's closing costs and perhaps changing the sale price? Would it be okay if I showed you blah, blah? So these are just some preface words to turn your statement into a question rather than your communication being confrontational to get that other person to actually consider what it is that you're trying to convey. Continuing on, which is general tips, you always want to follow up verbal and text communication with an email. Nothing is an issue until it's an issue. And when it's an issue and all you have is your memory of a phone call, your memory of that phone call, that other person's memory of the phone call could be vastly different. I have a couple slides at the end about if you're ever in a situation, and this will protect your bottom. Summarize. So if you have a phone conversation, take 2 seconds, send a follow-up email that pretend like you're AI. Summarize the nature of the communication. Thank you so much. It was great speaking with you, Alan. Just to summarize, on Monday, February 2nd, approximately 10 a.m., we talked about this, 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 this. This is key. The very last sentence is key. If this summary differs from your understanding of the nature of our conversation, please let me know. Otherwise, this confirms that we are in agreement. That is going to save you if something becomes an issue. Because if they never come back and say, no, that's not what I said at all, if you're giving them the opportunity to do that, again, this is how to summarize a text or verbal communication. Going back a little bit more specifically to emails, again, make sure you use your name, your label, your title, your company, contact information. Y'all, don't use abbreviations. Use spell check and grammar check. Every email client has it on there. If you have the little red dotted lines under there, go check the spelling. If you have the blue dotted lines under there, go check the grammar. I meant to put it on this slide and I forgot. In your emails, you guys, be respectful. Use a salutation and a closing. Don't just start the email with what you're going to say. Just put good morning, Neil. Good morning, Alan. Good morning, Linda. Good afternoon. Greetings, Linda. Put a salutation. Hello. You don't even have to put their name. I think you should use hello, comma, then the email, and then sign it respectfully, warmly, with regards. Enjoy your day. Maximize your day. That's what I put on mine. I'm with Maximum One. Maximize your day. Put a greeting, a salutation, and a closing. It's much more professional than just starting in with, don't use emails as text. Don't just start with the message. If you put in an email, if you're upset about something and your response is confrontational, or you receive a confrontational email, go ahead and write out what you're going to say, but do not immediately hit send. Walk away for 30 minutes, catch your breath, maybe have somebody else look at it, probably change it a little, and then hit send. Back to texting. Y'all, refrain and limit your texting in real estate. Text is not considered written communication, not in a contract. And my understanding is, I'm not a lawyer, but not in court. It sometimes can be supportive, but it's not considered written communication, and definitely not in a contract. Text perhaps for availability, or to confirm an appointment, or confirm, did you get the offer, or confirm I sent you an email, things like that. But then follow up with an email or a phone call. Do not negotiate via text. Don't do it. We've talked about miscommunication, misinterpretation. It's not professional, and it won't hold up, and it's not in writing. I've already talked about not using emojis when texting. Follow up with an email in the manner we've already discussed. Regarding contracts, remember, agent to agent communication has no bearing, nothing to do with your contract. That should be binding. It is not binding on the parties, doesn't bind the parties. My seller will do this, my buyer will agree to that. Great. You think you're under contract, comes across in writing, no signatures. What you say has nothing to do with your parties. Per GAR, Georgia Association of Realtors contracts, it must be in writing and signed by the party. Additionally, never talk in possessive terms when you're dealing with a co-op agent. Never say my buyer or my seller. You're not being defensive. That puts you on the defensive. It makes it adversarial just by the word. Use the seller, the buyer. Again, we're working towards the same goal. When you say my, that's possessive, protective. You guys are working together towards the same outcome. Back to this GAR in writing and signed by the party, GAR F816, that should be your new best friend. That is a notice form that you can communicate. There's a ton of other miscellaneous forms in the GAR contract package, but that should be your best friend. That is how you can communicate what your party is saying to the other party in writing with their signature. Again, GAR says notices must be in writing and signed by the party. You are not a party to the contract. And I have this. This is one of my favorite forms for agents to use, especially when you first go under contract. The GAR F264, reminder of important dates. You go under contract, you pull out that form. It has fill in the blanks for all the contact people, the closing attorney, the timeframes, the binding agreement date, the due diligence timeframe, the contingency timeframes. Fill that out for yourself. Send a copy to your own client to keep them on the same page with timeframes, and then send that to your co-op agent. Oh my goodness. If you're a co-op agent in a deal and the other side sends you this document filled out, with all the dates and the contact information, doesn't that set the stage? Doesn't that create an impression on how the remainder of this transaction is going to go? Yes. Oh my gosh, how nice. You're all of a sudden that automatically is like, oh, this is going to be an awesome working relationship. I know if we come across any bumps in the road or hurdles, we're going to be able to work together to get our parties through this. Things like that are awesome. Now, if there is an issue or a potential issue, write a log. Start from the beginning, pull out a blank piece of paper or go to your computer, get a blank screen, write a log. Start in chronological order, include dates and times to the best of your memory, and just do a sequence of events. Sometimes nothing's an issue until you're in the middle of it. So it might be a little hard to go back and remember dates and times at the beginning. So, to the best of your knowledge, write down the sequence of events, the summary of communication, what documents were presented and signed, pull copies of all the documents and signed, keep that together. You will use your text messages as supportive, but they're not considered proof, but it could be considered support. Here's the key. Again, this is if it's really getting to where you think it's going to be an issue and there might be a GREC investigation, an ethics investigation, or some sort of civil issue. Sign your notes, have them notarized. Put them away in a safe place. Why? GREC investigations typically are 12 to 18 months behind. Ethics hearings are generally 3 to 12 months behind. Arbitration or litigation or mediation completely depends. When if this issue did come up more formally in one of these scenarios, you're going to have done several deals by then. You're not going to remember. So yes, keep a memory, but this note, if you have your notes notarized, you know what that does? That proves that that was your recollection back when it occurred, not your recollection now that protects you because you have to defend yourself in a formal manner. So that this is key. Is it proof? It's not necessarily proof, but it does indicate that at the time of the issue or the event or the transaction, that was what happened. When you go back now and you think of situations that happened back in the past, you have a different lens on it and you either see it as better than it was or way worse than it was. Back to just, I should have put the slide a little further up. In general, when you are dealing with, when this is your first interaction with somebody new, a co-op agent, a client, whatever, ask them what their preferred method of communication is, the type and the time frames. For example, are you an email person or are you a phone person? I have one agent in my brokerage. I tend to prefer email or text actually, because I have it in writing and just in my position, I need it in writing. I've got one agent, never emails, always picks up the phone. It is always verbal communication. And that is really key information for effective communication with a co-op agent and with your clients too. And ask about their hours. What's the earliest I can call you? Some people are up at 6:30, 7 a.m. Oh, please call me at 7 a.m. Please communicate with me at 7 a.m. My day hasn't started. I don't have family issues to deal with. I'm not putting out fires. I'm not prospecting, whatever. Or I stay up late. I am not up and ready to think about business until 10 a.m. Or I've got a family. I take care of my family from 7 to 10 a.m. My business professional mind isn't on till 10. But you can email me up to 11:30 midnight. So those kinds of things are important to know. And again, okay, do you like phone? Do you like email? Do you like text? Again, sometimes to initiate, I'm not saying never use text. I use text all the time. Definitely do not negotiate via text. And to be professional, follow up your text with an email. A couple more tips for dealing with a feisty co-op agent. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Remember, you're both working towards the same outcome. Are you on the same page? Consider that feisty agent's comments or questions are really from their client, not from them. Or you could be stronger or more experienced or well versed in a situation. They could have an extremely strong client and not know how or what to say to their client. Give them the words and the information to speak to their client that they may not have on their own. Consider you're way easier to vent to than their client. It's not right, but it could be true. I'm not going to go off on my client being stupid and lose out on a commission or bring all that nonsense home to my family. My husband would be like, whoa, honey, I haven't done anything. Stop yelling at me. So sometimes you as the co-op agent are a lot easier to vent to. There's no, marriage on the line, there's no money on the line, so forth and so on. Perhaps that agent is inexperienced with that issue and is just freaking out. Interact with your co-op agent as if they are your client. After all, you have a better likelihood to do business with them more often than your public client. Just to conclude, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Success in your job and career is about connections with others, and that comes down to communication. Treat other agents as clients. Again, you have a higher chance to interact with them more often, whether it be in another transaction, at a realtor association event, at an office event, out in the community, but you have a higher likelihood of interacting with them more often than your actual client. And again, there is vast room for misinterpretation through email and text communication. And there is my contact information because I practice what I preach. And just in general, I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this mastermind. You guys, this is such an awesome resource, and thank you, Alan, for facilitating these and organizing these. And Neil and Amy, I know you guys are always on. I'm not seeing everybody, but just in general, I pray for us as brokers that we are a blessing to you as agents, and for you as agents that you are a blessing with your real estate license by communicating your desire to help others with their real estate needs. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dana. We really, really do appreciate you taking some time and like jumping in and helping us out here today. So, like I really value your opinion. I love the part about, turning statements into questions. I thought that was such good advice. And I never really thought of it that way. So, thank you so much for taking the time today. So that really has been awesome.
Absolutely my pleasure and my honor to uh, uh, just serve our community.
Sweet. Well, I do have some things coming up for in the next few weeks for our upcoming masterminds that we have, just so everyone's kind of aware. Next week, we have Ashley and Shirley Marketing is going to be teaching on ChatGPT for realtors and tying it in with Canva. The following week, we have Georgia Molesta is going to be going through tips, tricks, and the recent updates to Transaction Desk and getting the most out of that. Then we're going to have Bold Trail back, and they're going to be going over workflows, vitals, and smart campaigns. And then the week after that, we have Sean Delaney, who's going to be blessing us with regular systems that agents should be using to enhance their business. So that's kind of our next 4 or 5 weeks of masterminds and everything that we're doing for there. So I hope that you guys I got as much out of this today as I did. Oh yeah, please now some general Q&A too time. So
well, just in general on the yeah, just a couple Q&A. Is that okay?
Please, that's what this time is now.
Okay, perfect. For the I send out this week at Maximum One every 2 weeks, and it just came out yesterday. And y'all, yesterday's is a huge, there was a ton of information in there. But with respect to the masterminds, I do have a list of the topics at the bottom. And then as Alan gets more speakers, I'll add that. So I'm going to keep that on the bottom of every thing. Also, Wednesday at 11 a.m. It was in yesterday's email. It's on the Real Estate Academy of America website. There, Wednesday at 11 a.m. It's not for CE. There is a 1 hour class on FinCEN regulations that go into effect March 1st. And it's by Amy Davis, a closing attorney. Y'all, this is going to impact all of your closings. It has to do with reporting that every closing attorney is going to have to do. It's a federal regulation. If your buyer is not getting a mortgage through an institution, in other words, all cash buyers, and if your buyer does not have a social security number, you guys, it is closing fees are more than likely going to go up. There are going to be delays in closings. You need to know this information before it comes into effect March 1st. Again, it's FinCEN regulations. Wednesday at 11 a.m. It is a 1 hour Zoom. The link is all over. If you want it, email me or Neil, Amy, and Alan. I'll probably email it out again to all the franchise people. So that's Wednesday. The delayed, I don't know if you want to talk about this. If you're binding in the GAR contract, Governor Kemp declared, we've been in 2 states of emergencies now. The first one was declared on January 22nd. The second one was declared January 30th through February 2nd. Automatic delays on all your unexpired deadlines if you're binding on GAR and you were binding prior to that. Now, I did have a question about that I just want to let you guys know what Seth Weisman said. I had a disagreement with Seth on the number of days. So, for example, this latest one was January 30th through February 2nd. The GAR provision says all unexpired deadlines are automatically extended for the number of days that the state of emergency was declared, not to exceed 8 days. So to me, the way we count in our GAR contract, for example, binding agreement date, that is what day is that? That's 0. Day 0, right? Binding agreement is day 0. So for me, January 30th would have been day 0 because that's how we count in GAR. So if I pull out a calendar and I look at January 30th, and then the 31st is day 1, February 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 days, right? If we count with January 30th being day 0, just like we do binding agreement date. Seth, in all his communications, I know it's an 8-day extension. And I'm like, how are you getting that? Why isn't it day 0? I don't know if GAR is going to address this in their mid-year revision. Seth said, I've got an email from him over the weekend. I emailed him. He said for the state of emergency, the day it is declared is day 1. Doesn't make sense to me because of the contract, but that's what Seth said. Therefore, this is an 8-day extension. It's a huge difference. If any of you guys are using that state of emergency extension and you go for 8 days and the other broker says, no, it was only for 7 days because they counted how I counted, get with me or get with your broker and I will forward you this email from Seth because it doesn't make sense to me, but it's from Seth. I think it needs to be clarified in the GAR contract for counting purposes. The other thing, this came up also, it does not extend to temporary occupancy. So if you have closed and or even if you close before the state of emergency, that extension, the number of days for the state of emergency, does not, I have a feeling they're going to address this in the mid-year revision too, does not extend for temporary occupancy. If the seller was supposed to get out today, they don't get that extra 8 days. They have to be out today. The reason is, yes, the temporary occupancy survives closing, but the language on the automatic extension of deadlines does not survive closing. So those were just some really, really important things that I wanted to convey while I have your attention.
Wow.
And it was
Yeah.
all in yesterday's email.
Great. Thank you so much, Dana. I appreciate the heads up on everything. And as usual, my mind's pow. Does anybody have any other questions for Dana or myself or Neil? Anything that we can do to provide any kind of value to you guys? Is there anything you guys need? And a hush from the crowd. All right.
Thanks
Well,
again,
we love
Dana.
y'all.
That was great.
Yep. Go ahead, Neil. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I just said thanks again to Dana. It was great.
My pleasure.
Have a great
Awesome.
week, guys.
All right. We're out. We love y'all. Thank you. Have a great time.
Bye.
And hopefully we'll see you next week. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.